Hello and welcome to the show today. I'm really glad you could join us. So look, one of the most important things you really want to focus on in your business is being seen by the outside world, especially places like Google, that's the largest search engine in the world. Being able to be present there versus not be present is really the difference between building your business and scaling it very quickly or really struggling just to be even seen as a reputable company in your space. So today we're going to talk all about SEO, SEM, the things that you need to really be focusing on to grow your presence online and to be seen by these search engines beyond just Google. There's so many things to talk about with Bing and Microsoft actually occupying LinkedIn, and a lot of things happening there that make even other search engines places you want to be seen as well. So today with us is John Vuong. Now, he's a seasoned sales professional and internet marketer as well, with an exceptional track record helping companies grow their clientele and profits as well. Through 15 years of experience working with CEOs, business owners, and marketing leaders at some of Canada's most successful corporations, John developed a deep understanding of local marketing dynamics and consumer behavior as well. And his entrepreneurial spirit and experience working with more than 5,000 local business owners inspired him to start his own company, Local SEO Search, in 2013. John, thanks for coming to the show today.
Well, thanks for the intro, Ty. I'm excited to be on the show and excited to share some insights on some of the business owners listening today.
Well, I'm really glad you could be here because I think your space is has the most change ongoing of any space that I've ever seen. So what you're going to tell us today is different than it was even a week ago or a month ago. So I really appreciate you coming in and sharing kind of what's happening now with SEO and SEM.
Yeah, definitely. It's changing. It's ever changing. It's unpredictable. However, it's all about staying the course. As a business owner, you always constantly have to grow, pivot, and understand the user behaviors. And that's the whole world we live in today. And this is marketing 101, right? To sustain these fluctuations in market trends, in global behavior dynamics, and also local behaviors, you need to really not just predict and try to transpire for the better, but be present, be there when people are looking while they're ready to buy. And that's what we focus on in terms of search engine optimization.
So let's talk about that. Search engine optimization, SEO, search engine marketing, SEM. What's the difference between these two? How do they work?
Yeah, SEO is search engine optimization. It's really appearing on the first page of Google, optimized for a lot of different terms and keywords for the users to then find your business organically or naturally on the map and below the map, which is the unpaid free listings. Then the SEM is more paid advertising on search engines where business owners can pay per click at the top of the search engines, which will then appear as an ad. So I specialize and focus on only the organic nature, which is the map and below, where majority of the traffic for the users who are ready to buy seem to gravitate towards if they're usually a service-based higher ticket item kind of purchase. But when it becomes more of a product play where you're competing on a very global scale, SKUs, lines of business and products, then it's a lot more competing on paid as well as other platforms like the Amazons, Instagrams, etc.
So why do you think SEO is so vital to small business?
So SEO, I feel, is just to give you a background. I started this company back in 2013. I bootstrapped it, and I really wanted to help businesses get found. The reason I did start this business was 10 years prior, I was in sales and advertising in traditional and then online, and I worked at Yellow Pages for 5 years. And at Yellow Pages, I found there was a huge need. They dominated the space in terms of trying to cultivate people that are intending to make a purchase, but just be visible. And that's exactly what Google does today, right? They aren't selling anything. They're providing information, insight, and matching the users with websites that they feel are the best fit and match as authoritative figures in their industry, community, and leaders, right? So at Yellow Pages, it's the same thing. Inbound leads, ready to buy customers, you vet and decide who you want to be using. Same thing with Google today. So I feel as a local business, if you used to advertise in Yellow Pages and you understand the importance of being just visible and present, Google is exactly the same way. And if you're not at least building an asset piece of your website that then foundationally and fundamentally generate some traffic that is ready to buy customers seeking your product and service out, you're missing a huge amount of opportunity where more people than ever is digitally sound and savvy and seeking out services via Google.
Why is this so difficult to do? Because this is what I've noticed is that like we produce a lot of content on business credit. I don't think there's any doubt that we produce more quality content on that topic than anybody else probably on the planet. And I don't mean that as an exaggeration. That's like we're the biggest in the space. So, but yet we can't naturally do this without somebody like you. Like we cannot get our stuff seen by Google. So it's almost like Google's the smartest search engine out there. But if you don't really understand this game and how to control it, no matter how good your content is, no matter how good your company is, you just can't be seen by Google. Why is that?
So you have to understand Google dominates so much traffic where every day people are inquiring for questions, information queries, navigational queries, or product and service type queries. And they're seeking out just information. And what you're trying to do as a business owner is competing globally with all these people who are also seeking out to be on that first page. And if you don't have a team or you don't have experts on your side to then understand the volume gap, the keyword analysis, competitive landscape, to understand what your customers are trying to, grasp in terms of content, rich, answering all the problems and seeking out good guidance and resources, then it's very difficult for you to then position yourself as a thought leader. And that's ultimately what all businesses want to do, right? They want to be known as that leader in the industry so that they can then position themselves so that they can have that asset piece of either selling their business or generating a lot more inbound traffic, right? And when you start doing everything synergetically properly, what your customers want and what Google's looking for, then you can mend and get a lot more organic traffic of ready to buy customers.
That being said, what are the important aspects of SEO that we don't know about, but we probably should?
I look at SEO being a lot of people are always talking about link building and content and all these other, reputation management, social engagement, all these signals. I am really focused more heavily on foundation of why are you in business? What's your story like? What's your brand message? What's your core values? And speak on your major strengths, right? If you foundationally know how to run a good business, then it's a lot easier for you to articulate it with not just your team or a message on your website or people you hire in-house or contractors. At least you know who your customers you want to be known for, right? Who your ideal tribe is, your persona, your avatars are. But a lot of people forget that and they want to go shotgun approach. They want to get as much traffic as possible. They want to dominate every industry. I will always say focus, right? Niche down, understand who your top 10 best clients are, the ones that pay you the most, that are loyal, lifetime value customers, will send you a lot of referrals. Once you figure that out, then everything that you do on your website, from creating content to building a great website navigation, speaks and answers every single pain point and problem that they have so that you can position yourself to only attract your ultimate type of clients.
So what are the benefits if I do this right?
Benefits is you don't have to spend a lot on paid advertising and marketing. You only focus on quality leads of ready to buy customers because you position yourself well. And the key for this is better ROI, right? Ultimately, you can streamline your costs. You don't have to pay for sales reps and all these other forms of advertising, whether it be trade shows, magazines, or paid Facebook, Instagram, all these other paid. But when you do that all right, you also get this huge asset piece. If you're ready to sell your business or position to acquire and partner, you have huge authority in your space that can then predict how many more traffic and leads are coming to your business.
So when you look at this, and if you are doing it right, do you need to have a funnel built behind it, or what do you kind of recommend your clients have to maximize this? Because I see a lot of people pushing people to their website, and John, their website's horrible. Like it's not even designed to capture people's information. I'm surprised they're even in business or even spending money doing that, but maybe I'm wrong on that. So what should somebody have set up to even think, to be able to monetize those leads before even pushing people to their websites?
Yeah, so the messaging is important, right? Like the purpose. Why do you build a website in the first place? If you're a service type of business, yes, ultimately you want them to pick up the phone and fill the form and then come and buy a product or service from you. But between the decision process of them coming to your website and then acquiring your product and service, there's that gap, right? And yes, there could be funnels of capturing information, their email, their data, the questions. And then what is your funnel like? Are you sending them messaging like an email drip funnel? Are you retargeting ads to then position yourself when they're ready to buy, right? There's a lot of sequences that works, right? But ultimately, you need to determine what's the purpose of your website. Do you want to have a huge database of emails that you can continue working on? Or is it ultimately just going after the cream of the crop type of businesses, clients that just want to purchase from you, and everything else is okay as well? Like, it's fine, whatever your goals are and aspirations. A lot of people don't understand the power of a website if it's done right. And that's where I feel like if it's like SEO, there's so many SEO agencies or independent contractors and outsource agencies. You just have to discover and find the ones that are doing it really, really well that you can work with.
How do you figure that out?
Vetting, just like when you're ready to purchase a big home renovation job or a plumber or a roofer, you probably go through the same due diligence. You call their references, you check their reputation, you ask a friend, everything like you would do for any big purchase, because it's a relationship play that is usually a partner, right? And it's an extension to your business. And you need to have the same core values of what you're trying to entail in the entire process in your company.
So that being said, what I find with SEO companies is they often say it takes 1, 2 years to get to the result. Then you give them the 1, 2 years, they don't get to the result. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of us do a very good job of vetting people. What typically happens is we ask a friend, the friend gives us a recommendation. We kind of go with that friend without a lot of vetting. So how can we really tell an SEO company is going to do what they say they can do?
Yeah, and that's what happened to us multiple times. We got a lot of referrals, and I didn't do the same vetting process. And the expectations at the beginning were not set. So the vetting process is so critical. You go through the same vetting when they do an inbound lead versus a referral versus any person that sends you a lead, right? Because if you don't do it properly, you're gonna go through the same challenges of not working with the best type of supplier vendor. So understanding like what is your onboarding process when you bring in a new client for your business. Follow the same process, right? If you want quality, take your time. Don't pressure people to sell, buy your product and service. Let them discover, let them do their analysis, and then put your best foot forward with references, case studies, testimonials. Let them decide. And when they feel comfortable, then it's going to be a long-term relationship. Because when you start pushing people to then make that transaction early, there's going to be a lot more regret in that sense.
What about myths? What are things that people think about SEO oftentimes that just are not really accurate or true?
Yeah, and I hear people saying, how long does it take? What are you really doing behind the scenes to trick Google? How much are you really spending? Like, what effort is happening, right? So in terms of the time, I've seen clients rank in, hyper competitive markets, but long tail keywords, right? So it's easier to rank. And you can get some low hanging fruits that cultivate new traction and get some conversion rate. So I've seen clients rank in a month. I've seen clients rank in hyper competitive markets like a dentist or lawyer in big cities. It may take a little bit longer because clients that you're competing with, they've been doing SEO for years, right? So you have to be realistic. Um, then, of course, the cost, right? It's like, what are you really doing? Well, it's a lot of work behind the scenes, right? Like just like any expertise, you have to realize what it takes to actually ingrain and do things. Um, like a plumber, why are they charging $400 or $500 an hour to do it in 20 minutes? Well, it took them 25 years to train, spend hundreds of thousands of hours doing it to perfect the process. Yes, you can go to YouTube, you can try to figure it out, and you can save a lot of money doing it yourself. You can do anything yourself, really. But the reason people want to source out a product or service is they don't feel like they should, or they're not experienced enough, and they want to do it right the first time. So that's where you need to do a good job in deciding who you want to work with. Just like when you pick out the plumber, why did you pick them up? Is it just anyone that is it price related, or do you want quality? And focus on the quality more than anything.
What are some of the most effective strategies you're seeing work right now with SEO?
There's not just one. It's all circumstantial, and it's all based on like the analysis based on benchmarking of your existing website versus who you want to compete with and where do you want to go, right? Which are the gaps out there, from content gaps to link building gaps to amplification outreach gaps to reputation gaps. There's not just one, right? And then also UX. You need to look at your website and look at the behavior flow. How are your customers or people landing on your website? What are the interactions going on, and which pages are they landing on? Which ones are pressing the back button? How long are they staying? What's going on, right? The behavior flow is so important. And once you refine and understand how to do it properly, to then convert a higher conversion rate, which is what's the ultimate goal of your website? Phone call, form lead, or that lead magnet requiring that email address. Figure that out. And when you do that properly, then you have a better campaign, because you have better analysis, right? And due diligence in that sense.
Are there tools that you're using right now that you love?
Oh yeah, I have a huge stack of SEO tools. Keywordtool.io for keywords. I'm very strong advocate of links. So Ahrefs is huge. SEMrush, Moz is good. There's Ubersuggest. There's so many, right? As an agency, we need this to compete. If you're independent, if you're a small business owner, you might not even be comfortable understanding what these tools can do. So hire people that know how to utilize the data that is presented. The tools is only a source, right? It gives you insight. Someone has to do and perform the efforts once you have the information. So that's what we do. We have tools, we have people to actually deploy the actions to then generate more traffic for your website.
What about first ranking? So what we see, I get solicited, a lot of us get solicited all the time by SEO companies to say they'll get us to, first page on Google or first position in Google in a certain amount of time. How realistic is that? If I'm really starting from nothing, I'm just hiring you. What's how realistic is it to get to the first page of Google, and what factors determine the time frame of it? That's if and how and when that's possible.
So if you think about it, if you're a business owner and you've been in it for a while or you're new, if someone said, here, you can make $100,000 in a month, is that realistic? Right? Like you're brand new, you have no clients, you have no expertise, but you just started out a business. You see a Facebook ad saying, click here, I'm going to make you $100,000, register for a course or something, right? So that's exactly what's happening. They're selling a dream. It's a bait, right? That email. So you need to substantially ask them, what is the actions per take? What's your track record? Who are you? Vet them. Most of these solicitations are solicitations for one reason. They're going to take your money and you'll never hear from them ever again. So be wary. There's a lot going on in this industry, from fraud, scammers, and whatnot. Do your due diligence. That's why we're trying to be as authentic as possible. We're a business with a good track record. We try to do everything like real business people, right? Like we vet, we talk, we have real relationships, communication, and we're on the same page, right? Because a real SEO company will then have full access to all your major properties. And that means you need to trust them. And so when you trust someone, you don't just trust someone based on their sales pitch. You trust them by vetting who they are, right? What's the qualities that you want to be represented with, right?
When we look at SEO, what are some of the basic foundational principles that are there? Like, what are some of the main building blocks? I think you hit on some of them with keyword research and backlinking and those type of things. So what are some of the main building blocks of SEO?
Yeah, I would say the first thing foremost is building a solid website that speaks directly to your audience members, your customers, right? Not so much about talking about yourself, but answering problems and pain points of what your customers want out of your product and service. And then that's the content piece, the UX, the building of a good website. Then, of course, the keyword comes in, keyword research, which gives you a lot of gap analysis, competitive analysis, understanding what people are actually typing in terms of volume and traffic. Then, of course, it's the links. Backlinks are very critical because that gives you more authority when other association publications, people that are credible, that sends you a link back to your website because they want to endorse you. And these have to be earned. So when you do a publication, a contributor article, or you're an editor in a different publication, and then you get to write a piece that links back to your site that's branded, it gives you much more authority. Reputation is huge. Third-party reviews, right? Let it be on Google or Facebook or any of those shopping sites of your product site. Those are also critical. So those are typically the pillars, right? Development of the website, content, links, and then reputation.
What are you seeing besides Google that we should be focusing on as well? I mean, I know like Bing bought, or Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and they're doing some pretty crazy stuff, incorporating LinkedIn search stuff into Bing. So do you usually focus on other areas outside of Google? Do you think it makes sense for us to focus really on other search engines other than just Google as well?
So what I believe in is the 80-20 rule, which is focus where majority of your customers are looking and seeking out your product and service. And if that means Google is your main driver of customers potential, why not invest majority of your efforts there? If you are a product kind of business, focus on different platforms like the Amazon or Etsy or Instagram if it's a influence marketing play. Great, right? Understanding where your customers are purchasing your product and service, and spend majority of the time understanding how you can dominate that space so that you become more of a top of mind funnel and more visible for your ideal type of customers seeking you.
Is the same thing apply for YouTube? Because YouTube seems like an area we don't want to ignore, and it's definitely different than normal Google SEO. So should we be focusing on, putting up content on YouTube and getting it optimized for search as well?
So one of the things I always tell and advise all my clients is when we do that avatar at the beginning of onboarding of a customer, we always ask them, who are your 10 best clients and what content pieces do they want to absorb and seek out, and which platforms do they embrace and ingest this content? Do they love audio, video, written, or images? That will allow us to focus on putting content that attracts that type of audience member. So yes, multi-channel, multi-funnel approach, but as a small business owner, you don't have the resources. You don't have the ability to be on multi-channel platforms to do it properly, well, and get you the return on investment that you expect. So you need to pick and choose your battle, right? And if you are a large brand agency, you can hire professional videographers, editors, people that actually can do great scripts and presentations, for sure, do that. But if you're a small business owner, like how much resources do you have, right? And how much can you really spend to try and test it and make sure it gives you the best ROI? Because if you do it wrong, it could be survival, right? It could be make or break your business versus a big brand. Like if one campaign didn't work, they can just pivot and go on with the next without any huge ramifications on their behalf.
What do you think about voice search with Alexa and these things? He seemed to be pretty popular. Is that an area that you're focusing on with your clients as well, as helping them prepare to be better found on voice search?
Yeah, so it's very similar to SEO, right? You want to be the dominant player in Google, and that's where voice search is extracting most of the data and questions. So if you want to be known, you have to understand the intent of why people are using voice in the first place. I've been using voice to find out the temperature, the sports, the news, weather, things that are not really transactional in nature. Like I'm not purchasing a big project like a home renovation or a plumber on voice, right? Maybe a restaurant if I need to buy pizza, right? Sure. So it all depends on your industry and your business, and really rely on different avenues. And it's understanding your customers and how they consume your product and service. It's not going to be for everyone. It's going to be for certain industries to really focus on, which is news related, I feel is great for voice. So if you're in that space, sure, right? But if you're not, then I would figure out what space your customers are seeking and are in, so that you can invest most of your efforts in there.
Sean, what are some easy wins on website optimization?
Can you repeat that question?
So
Sorry.
what are some easy wins when it comes to website optimization? What are some things we could do, small business owners, to make some changes on our website to help us have a better chance of being seen on Google?
I think the first thing is, if you don't already own your website, build a website that is easy CMS and install a plugin called Yoast SEO. That's a free plugin that allows you to optimize with keywords on your title tag, meta description, gives you some, inbound link suggestions and topical relevant keywords. And then, of course, it's all about understanding what your customers want to absorb, right, from the content piece. So the quickest and easiest win is, if you have Google and you don't have to pay for a software, type in some of the services that people you may think or your competitors are ranking for, right? Click it on Google, and usually it auto populates, right? And these are auto suggest keywords on Google. And when you type in a couple of the characters, it auto suggests with a couple of the variations that are most popular based on what people are typing in. Go after some of those terms. So you don't even need software, really. You can just use these simple tools and techniques to help you get more traffic that people are maybe searching for, so that you can embed these keyword variations on your website and blog posts or service page or your homepage, so that you can, potentially cultivate some new traffic inbound to your site.
Listen, this has been really enlightening. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff that you covered today, and a lot of actionable stuff that you shared as well. But I know we don't have time to dive into everything that we could talk about. Where can everybody go watching to be able to learn more about SEO, what they can do, and even learn more about working with you?
Yeah, so my company website's called localseosearch.ca. We're based in Toronto, Canada, but we service clients all across North America, UK, and Australia. Yes, our focus is service-based, small, medium-sized businesses. However, we look at helping people that have the same kind of vision, where they want to be dominant players in their niche, in their market, and they understand that trust and honesty is a big thing. Of course, there's a lot of blogs, there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of resources and communities out there, from Moz to Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, to a lot of the paid communities and free blogs and videos out there. I would say educate yourself to a level that you're comfortable to ask informed and educated questions to who you want to use as a vendor. Either you're going to outsource, find a supplier, hire people within internal, or you're going to find people that are freelancers and independent contractors. But you need to know what you don't know right now, so that you are educated to comfortable to know what they're capable of doing and what does success mean and what's their track record. And you just don't want to go blind. And therefore, I'm always a big proponent to all my clients is, there's webinars out there. Start listening, start watching, start being comfortable with some of the terminology, so that you can make an informed decision.
I love it. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us today.
I really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks a lot, Ty, for having me.
So if you're watching this, obviously you want to get more customers. And one of the easiest ways to get more customers is organic reach on Google, Bing, all these other search engines. But as John talked about, you got to kind of hone in on where most of your customers come from. It's probably Google. So the question becomes, what are you doing there to really be seen? And whatever it is, it's probably not enough from what I've seen from experience. It's really a tough thing to do on your own, but to learn some of the basics of what you need to do to be able to talk more even with John and his team, make sure you visit localseosearch.ca. That's localseosearch.ca. There's so much stuff on their website that can really help you, even including case studies of other clients to use, so you can see the kind of results that you can get for your business as well. So to learn more about what you should be doing now for your SEO and to elevate your SEO strategies, make sure you visit localseosearch.ca. That's localseosearch.ca. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.